Hello and welcome to another very special Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Is Egg-Shaped, and we are all about DoddieAid. And today we have the captain of Team South with us, a man who has led many into battle, and he will do so again when we hit January the 1st for DoddieAid. He's off doing some missionary work in the Far East, but his heart is still very much in Jed and in the Southlands of the borders. So we're going to bring him in. You don't want to listen to me. It's Mr. Greig. Hello, Mr. Greig.
Hi, Bruce. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. And I hope you're doing well back home.
Yeah, very well. So Japan, Christmas is just finished. Is there big celebrations planned? I see you've got a game coming up as a warm-up game for the start of the new season.
Yeah, it's a pretty quiet affair, to be quite honest. In Christmas in Japan, we actually had a game on Christmas Day, which was a first for me as well. We were a couple of hours away from home, so that was a little bit different. But thankfully, the foreign boys all got together on the 26th, and we had a little Christmas party along at the club there. So yeah, gearing up towards the season. It's only a couple of weeks away before it starts now.
And you're back in royal blue.
Yeah, we've got a royal blue colour here at NTT Communications, Shining Arcs as we're called. So yeah, it's a lovely strip, to be fair, and to be honest, we've got some awesome facilities here in Japan. So it's a pleasure to be involved in at this club.
Just like the Riverside.
Yeah, a slight upgrade on Riverside, but.
And what happens when you deliver a chat, or are you into Japanese, or is it still Greg for Jed?
Oh well, I think over the years, Bruce, I've learned I've have to try and learn a little bit more about people's cultures and become a bit more cultured. So I try my best on that front. Certainly here in Japan, we've got some probably awesome translators with the team. There's a guy called Josh who's the main man. He's half New Zealand, half Japanese, and he's brilliant at his job. So we lean heavily on him and a couple of the boys in the team that speak both languages. But it's certainly not easy to wrap your head around the Japanese.
Well, it looks like Japan's suiting you very well. Is the climate a good help to playing some good rugby?
It is. It's really cold just now. The thing with winters in Japan, they tend to be really dry. So even though it's probably -1, -2 early in the morning, because we get pretty much sunshine all the time, it gets up to 9-10 degrees, and it certainly doesn't feel as bad as the dark grey skies of Scotland during the middle of winter. So it's nice to see some sunshine, and it certainly doesn't feel as cold.
And you've been roped in to leading Team South as captain for DoddieAid. How long did it take you to accept that role?
Oh, certainly not long at all, Bruce. Firstly, because Doddie's a great man, isn't he? And I think he's, before he came out and he was diagnosed, he was just a great person. And I think the way he's handled himself and stuff throughout has just been really inspiring. So any little thing I can do to help out, and hopefully, Doddie, alongside Doddie's foundation, we're eventually going to find a cure for it.
And you've been there at some pretty emotional moments for Doddie. His last outing as host of the Thistle Suite, and everybody down trackside, and a presentation for you. So you've been there at some pretty special moments with the big man. Are you in touch with him at all?
Yeah, I'll get the odd text of him, and he still takes the mick out of me. There was a conversation the other night when I was somebody was asking what size of jumper I want, and I suggested a medium, and Doddie was straight on telling me I should be taking a small. So he's still got his sense of humour, which is awesome to hear. And as I said before, he's a great man, and certainly from his time, hosting in the Thistle Suite and stuff like that at Murrayfield. The energy in the room when he was there is, it was always better when he was there.
No, he's some man. And you've given some pretty good speeches, and you've been leader of pretty much any team you've been part of, certainly in your recent career. What's it going to be like leading for Japan?
Oh, certainly a different challenge. That's where social media and modern technology, obviously the way we're talking tonight, that's going to help. So I think just the reconnecting, I guess, for me from people back in the borders is something that's it's going to be good for me as well. Hopefully, I've had a few messages of a few people I've probably not spoken to in a long time, so that's nice. And the borders are a place that's really close to my heart. All my family are still back there for the most part. So yeah, that I guess that reconnection. So I'll be tapping into some old clubs. Some will like me more than others, I'm sure. But it's going to be interesting and good fun to get as many people on board as we can.
I was chatting to your cousin Chris, and he's telling me that at some point he'd like to end up back at Riverside for a runabout. Would you be able to partner him?
I don't know. It's one of the things, when you set out on my journey, I always say it'd be awesome to finish up at at Jed. But the longer I play and stuff, and the cold winters in Scotland, I'm not too sure. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe a couple of games.
There's a load of folk in Jed recording this and making sure that they play it back to you, that you follow that one up.
Yeah, well, I'll see. Listen, I'll never say never, because the club, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you tonight, or sitting here in Japan if it wasn't for the small club of Jed Forest and I guess the people of the town. So, in many ways, that's, I guess, it's the borders in a smaller version. As a little town like Jed, we always sort of punch above our weight for a small town, and just we've got a great connection with the people.
And your work rate all the way through your career has been absolutely unbelievable. It would have been easy to point the finger at you and say you were too wee, but your work ethic is absolutely off the chart. There'll be some youngsters watching this from Jed and hopefully for further afield as well. What bit of advice would you give them for their future?
Well, the first thing is, dream big, yeah, and certainly, it's a bit cliched or whatever, but it's really true. And the hard work element is the thing that sets people apart. You have to have a bit of luck along the way, of course you do, but first protocol has to be hard work. You've got to be willing to be the hardest working person in the room. I've only got to where I've got to because I've squeezed everything out of me that I possibly could, and I've had a good work ethic for whatever reason. I think just the way I was brought up, but just always be willing to push yourself. Really truly work hard. There's some people that talk about working hard, and there's others that do it. So it's a simple message, but that's what will get you there.
And you've achieved some unbelievable things. Now, believe it or not, I did do a bit of research before I came on here. I didn't normally, but you're one of the few people who's beat England twice in the same year.
Yeah, I heard that start a while back. Obviously, Finn and I were both involved with the Barbarians. I'm still not sure how we won that game, to be honest, because most boys were having a few beers most of the week, put it that way. Finn was probably leading the charge as well. I think he was drinking kava with the Tongan and Samoan boys and Fijian boys as well. So, but yeah, some great memories. Some good games along the way as well as some tough ones. But again, that's it's the journey you go through to the place I'm sitting today.
And it's unbelievable when you say dream big. You can't possibly have been sitting in Jed and been able to dream Scotland Sevens, Scotland, the Lions, the Barbarians, playing in England and France and Japan. Is there an autobiography in the offing?
I'm not too sure. Bruce, potentially one, a little bit further down the track. So, for now, I'm still enjoying my rugby. Touch wood, my body's still good. The season allows me to do that out in Japan. It's a pre-seasons are long, but the seasons are shorter. So, yeah, when I sort of think back, I never imagined playing for a club like somebody like Clermont or something like that. That was awesome, and captaining Clermont as well, and trying my best to speak a bit of French or whatever. And so yeah, just thinking back and just some of the great memories that I've been able to have through the game that I love as well.
And if you could speak to Greg at 16, what would you say to him now?
I get asked that question a fair bit, and it is what it is, Bruce. And I think I'll just say the same things, just enjoy your rugby, work hard, and and see where you can get to. And I certainly I guess I've just been lucky. I've been able to live that. And as I touched on before, you need a bit of luck, Bruce, with injuries and stuff like that. So I have had that as well. But I'm a big believer in the hard work. If you base yourself there in and around that sort of stuff, it's a great sort of starting block.
Who did you love playing with?
Finn Russell.
Finn Russell.
Easy as that. I love. Well, yeah. No, there's other players as well, and I love playing with Hoggy as well. But Finn, I always remember, when Finn came into the team, I think we were on tour in Canada, I think it was, and he just came into the team and he was this sort of young guy, just full of energy and didn't really care too much about, making mistakes and stuff. And so he sort of brought the best out in me, I guess, in many ways. And, I certainly hope I brought the best out in him because, I was fairly serious when it came to rugby and sometimes maybe a bit too serious. And he sort of reminded me at times, it's a game and you can have fun as well. So, yeah, that's what definitely Finn comes to my mind.
Brilliant. I love it. And sometimes we need that, don't we, in a team? We need people who are a bit different to maybe make us think a wee bit differently. What changing room do you really miss?
Scotland one. Yeah.
Any particular memories of before or after that get the hairs on the back of your neck standing up?
It's just hard to replicate. To be quite honest, Bruce, I think on a Test match day when you're at the front of that lineup, I guess in the tunnel at Murrayfield or just before you come out of the changing room, and you've got the rest of the 22 boys behind you, sort of looking ahead to you and looking for more guidance than others, and just getting ready to run out of the tunnel and hearing that sort of noise when you first step out. It's something you can't replicate. So I've been fortunate enough to do it on a few occasions, but it's certainly one I still miss.
You must have felt like a rock star when you went to Japan and everybody was running about shouting Mr Greig at you.
It's been pretty incredible, the support I've had out here in Japan, and I guess I still get to this day. So yeah, very humbling. I'm just embracing it and getting involved in the culture where I can, and certainly helping NTT Communications on the field as best I can as well.
So getting involved with the culture means you ordered KFC for Christmas dinner?
Not quite, because as I already told, we had a game on Christmas Day this year, so I missed the KFC. But I think we had a foreigners due on the 26th, as I was saying. And I'm pretty sure one of the foreign boys, probably one of the Tongans, brought in a bucket of KFC to help us out.
I'm keen to ask you about this guy that signed for you, Otera Black. He's a real prospect. I've seen a bit of him on the TV. How good's he going to be? Yeah,
Otera is a magnificent player. I think he was obviously starting for the Blues, Auckland Blues last season in the Super Rugby at 10. So you don't start for a New Zealand franchise at number 10 without being a pretty good player. So yeah, and he's only 26, I think, so he's still young, but he's obviously chose to leave New Zealand, come for a bit of a different challenge. So we are certainly delighted to have him here. Very calm, very skillful on the ball, and sort of typical Kiwi 10. So he'll make a difference to us this year.
And where's his granny from? She's not from Jed, is she?
No, he's pretty strong Maori, Oteri, and he's played for the Maori All Blacks on a few occasions. So his roots are firmly set, I reckon.
Okay. I thought there might have been a wee chance for us there. No, we'll be happy with Finn just now. Greig, it's been brilliant to see you, and I've taken up a fair bit of your time, and it's been really good of you to dial in. So give us your rallying call to the people of the South.
Yeah, so everybody back home in the South, I think the strength of the Borders is, in many ways, is always, been the fact that we are, smaller in numbers and a lot of the time smaller in stature as well, both in the Borders and I guess Dumfries and Galloway as well. It's a part that's a little bit sort of cut off at times, but very much part of the Borders. So get involved in DoddieAid. Come and support the team, support us, support Doddie in the fight to find a cure against MND. We truly value that support, and that, as I've mentioned, the fact that we're small, we've always punched above our weight. So we need your help this time around. So it'd be awesome if you can get on board.
Do you think the boys down at Jed will be putting the GPS monitors on and going for a run, just putting them on during training, or will they get together and go for a hike?
Well, I certainly hope so, Bruce. As I mentioned before, it's a club very close to my heart. I've always tried to give back where I can. So, hopefully, I'm pretty certain the club like Jed will help us out, get involved. And I think it's just good for the community as well. And it's obviously been testing times for everybody around the world, and this COVID pandemic that we're all living through at the moment. So I think, that connection, making sure you're checking in on everybody, making sure everybody's doing all right. I think that's massive as well. So, alongside the clocking your miles, check in on your mates, make sure they're doing all right. And we'll all get through this together, and if we can have a bit of fun and raise some money for the fight against MND, that'd be awesome.
You're some man, Greg. It's been absolutely brilliant to see you. Sayonara, sir, and I look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Thank you very much. Sayonara.
Gotta love it. What an absolute legend. He could be there for hours and hours and days. He's got so much. We've hardly touched on his rugby career, but the message is loud and clear. Get behind Team South, get behind Doddie. In fact, just get signed up for any of the teams. If you're listening to this, no matter where you are in the world, get on to DoddieAid.com, download the app and get involved. If you've enjoyed this, you can catch us on Apple, Acast and Spotify. You can watch on Facebook and YouTube. You heard the man. You heard from Mr. Greig. He's our captain. Let's get out there for Doddie. My name is Bruce Aitchison. My happiness is egg-shaped. I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Morning South!